Welcome back to the Botswana Center for Public Integrity Conversation Circle, where we circle governance issues with the people. And with me here, I have the most important people that I know, young leaders that I know with me today in the studio. And we are looking at this animal called governance, and to be governed within a democracy. Last week when we were here with Dr. Mothusi, he said that we are political animals and that it's important to know what kind of political being or beings we are and what kind of animal we want to be. Do we want to be a ferocious political animal or a good, inclusive political animal? So with me here, we are just delving into these issues. Youth, what do they know and what do they think about governance? And today what they've brought out on this conversation is governance is about leadership. And not just leadership, but it's about the people who are led, the people who give the leader the power to lead them and how important it is for them to participate. They have likened governance to steering a ship, but also to being covered by a blanket during a winter's morning. And what happens when, as people, you do not participate in your governance. So now we're going to continue with these two honorable members of Parliament in the future, or neurosurgeons, mathematicians, whatever they want to be. How I know these young men. I said earlier that we'll talk about how I got to even know of these two. At the Botswana Center for Public Integrity, we have a program or an initiative called Young Leaders Integrity School. And they participated in this training last year. After that program, they approached me, these two, that they want to form a Young Leaders Global Network that would help promote integrity, that would help teach about fighting corruption, that would help simplify the message of governance to their peers. And I thought, wow, this is what we need. This is what agency is about. This is what movement is about. So we are going to continue our conversation about the governed and what the governed can do when given a chance, when given opportunity to reach their greatest potential. Favor, please do tell me, how did you even get to be involved in the integrity movement building?
Yes, ma'am, that's a great question. It all started off at the Young Leaders Integrity School, like you've already mentioned. Basically, what we were taught there is integrity and corruption. Leadership. As a leader, you have to be a person of integrity. Principles of good deeds. That's how I best define integrity.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned on what corruption is all about. This meeting, we had different various leaders who came up and we got to learn a lot of stuff. And it actually reminded me of a quote that I got from the Bible, and I'd just like to mention it. It says, in the morning you shall devour your prey, and in the evening you shall divide the spring. So what it actually means is that in the morning, we all know this is a time when you're strong, a time when you're fresh, a time when you have the courage and the tenacity to rule the day.
Yes.
That's morning time.
Yes.
When we take this principle and apply it to the youth, it fits quite well. Youth, this is a time when we're strong, a time when we have the courage and the tenacity to rule the world, to attack our prey, which is all those atrocities, whatever they are, to attack our prey while we are still strong.
Yes.
You don't go hunting when you're tired, you don't go hunting when you're sleepy, you go hunting when you are strong.
Yeah.
So why the Young Leaders Integrity School actually encouraged us to move, because the moment you say I want to be your leader, in other words you're saying follow me.
Yes.
Follow me. So if a wrong person comes and says that follow me, and then after we vote for that person, the person stays 1 point. A busy and productive people who want change won't just sit waiting for a person to move when they don't move. It's about time you said move.
Yes.
We have to move forward. So that's the whole message that I got from the Young Leaders Integrity School, that we have to move. And like I mentioned earlier on, morning, a time of the youth to to be productive. The youth, they get this innovative ideas. That's obvious. I know the youth, they are creative people.
Yes.
They have all this change ideas. But the problem is, like I mentioned earlier on, when they get this idea, they get that inferior feeling that I'm a youth, what can I do?
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do. And if everybody is going to feel inferior, that's when we are going to be scorched by the sun. Like you mentioned on earlier, it's summertime, the blanket is out, there's no shade. The question is, how long are you going to stay in the sun being scorched?
Yes.
What is it going to take for you to say move?
I love that, but I think I want Ismail to also let us know about his experience with Young Leaders Integrity School.
Yes. So Young Leaders Integrity School, it was an eye-opener. It was the thing that blessed me, that innovated me, that made me be productive in terms of anti-corruption, getting involved in governance. So that was really effective, and it was a great initiative taken by the BCPI, your team, your mandates.
Thank you.
Without that, I can't see myself being here. And basically what we learned there, we learned things figuratively and also physically. Like, for example, a tower. If the foundation of the tower during construction is weak,
Yes.
top of the tower collapse. It's going to collapse. Simple things like that. And similarly, in a live setup, if that's the case, foundation is weak, governance is going to collapse. Decision makers, their poor decisions affect us as the people.
Yes.
They're going to collapse the nation eventually. That's what's going to happen. And as I said, it's not on black and white. Your qualities can't be defined on paper or anything. You define who you are as a person.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, the adults need to train the youth, need to nurture the youth, need to empower the youth to grow. And I think in Botswana we have a lot of youth who question authority, but in a sense where they want to learn. And sometimes it may be seen as coming off as rude, but I don't think that is the case. And I think if we talk to the youth, tell them what's happening, engage them, things will be much better. And about integrity, I just like to quote Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace. He said, "Whosoever amongst you sees an evil, let him change it with his hands. And if he's not able to, then let him change it with his tongue. And if he's not able to, then let him hate it in his heart." And that is the weakest of faith. So now that quote basically tells you have to make a change. You can't sit back and wait for something to happen. You're sitting back. We're the youth. We are the future. If the future sits back, we're in present. We're not fulfilling we're not reaching for what we are meant to reach for. And that's the biggest problem. So therefore, Favor and I came up with YLIGT, pronounced as lit, because we're youth, lighting up things. YLIGT stands for Youth Leaders for Integrity and Global Transformation. We're going to start off obviously in Botswana, but why can't we have a global view? Why can't we compete? Well, not compete. Have an outreach on a global scale.
Yes.
So that's our aim, to empower people, empower the youth, give them a platform of expression. As I said, the youth are powerful, they have voices. And if the youth stands up, if they question authority, if they make our leaders accountable, if we ask of them, the leaders are scared, they don't want to empower us, those corrupt leaders. If we're empowered, we're too strong, we're powerful, we're going to change things around. We're going to collapse those weak governments, build new ones.
Wow.